I look like? Boys and girls, howdy, hey, welcome to a video where I am going to be on screen for most of the video reacting to the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 direct event that was streamed today, or at least I think it was streamed today. I hope so, otherwise I am super late to this party. It's going to be as much of a blind react as it could be, even though I've logged into Twitter and unfortunately seen everybody gushing over stuff that they have no right to gush over, if we're being honest, but here we are, it's Call of Duty fandom. Before we hop in, this is a 24.5-minute video. I'm sure not all 24.5 minutes of that video are going to be important, so I might edit around some of the less interesting parts or just keep to the things that actually matter as to what I'm concerned about. For those of you that actually clicked on this video and care about what I think, I appreciate that, I thank you, but the question is why? Why are you watching what I have to say about this? Go watch what Scump has to say about it, even though I'm sure you already have. Nah, I'm just kidding. Some self-deprecating humor to keep myself humble before the comment section comes after me, because y'all be doing that. Before we hop in, though, some last-minute due diligences as a content creator. You want to support the channel? Like and sub down below. Comment for the algorithm, especially on this video, because I'm sure a lot of you have opinions about Call of Duty 6, and they may not align with mine. Let's have a debate. And as always, all my other social medias, including my Discord and my merch shop, are linked in the bio if you want to see what's going on with those, but let's hop into this. Hold up, we gotta go back. We have a Bourne Ultimatum jump cut. Who punched who in that? It probably doesn't matter, but like I said, it probably doesn't matter right now because we have no context to the campaign. If you ask me who that is right now, I would say that is Gold Glove TV punching me.
Hello and welcome to Treyarch in Los Angeles, and thanks for joining us today. We're excited to share what we've been working on for the past few years. For Black Ops 6, we really wanted to give ourselves the time to craft something truly great. This means we're delivering a new level of polish and innovation across all parts of the game. I've been working here for over 20 years, and I can tell you that we have something special on our hands.
All right, love to hear it, Mark.
I know that the team are excited to give you a deep dive into our campaign and global innovations across the entire game.
There's a lot of stuff that I'm not really going to focus on because it's kind of obvious at this point. The Call of Duty games, they all look great. They all look good. People that say the newer Call of Duties don't look good are just on some weird soapbox where they just hate on COD to hate on COD. I'm never gonna be one that hates on COD to hate on COD. Most of my critiques about the game are gonna be from the heart. They're gonna be well thought out because that's how I operate as a human. If I can't offer some sort of critical feedback that means something is gonna get better, I'm probably not gonna say it. It's going to have to be something that's actually a problem with the game, and the graphics are just never a problem with. They all have those aesthetics about them, especially Treyarch, because even on the older engine, they made the games look as good as they possibly could, so the game is just going to look good. I'm just going to acknowledge that right now. It's going to look very good and very polished.
With Black Ops 6, we're taking players to a new but familiar era, the early 90s. In true signature Black Ops fashion, our story builds on real history, thrusting players into a conspiracy where a shadowy force has infiltrated the highest levels of the US government.
That's another thing Treyarch does really well. They take existing pieces of history, then kind of incorporate their own fictional narrative into them, and they've done a pretty damn good job the entire time, if I'm being honest. Like, W Treyarch always on the aesthetic of their campaigns.
Branding anyone who resists as traitors and forcing players to go rogue for the first time to fight the very machine that created them. The team has been meticulously crafting every aspect of this game to deliver the fun and attitude players expect from the Black Ops franchise.
W.
Multiplayer is of course here and brings the Black Ops style.
Playtesting the game with hands on desk.
Brand new Omni movement system. New way to push beyond your limits and move like an action hero.
This is the thing I've seen everybody talking about, and like, I don't really have an opinion on it. For the campaign, I'm sure it'll make the campaign super dope. For multiplayer, I'm not sure how it's gonna work in multiplayer, because there's already some goofy camera issues in COD. Especially on the competitive end of the spectrum, which I'm on. How do you win gunfights? You camera them, you break their camera, you do a movement in the game that is so egregious the engine can't keep up with it on the spectator's end, and you die to someone you literally never see. That's probably gonna be a big problem, at least at the beginning of the game's life cycle, but it probably won't be a bad thing when they actually fix the problems that it'll probably have.
Every Call of Duty player has a favorite campaign mission. When we set out to make Black Ops 6, we were focused on delivering missions so iconic that they stick in your memory long after. We are bringing that action-packed blockbuster feel to every step of the narrative.
Love to hear that, because even with games like Cold War that were super duper rushed, there are still missions in that game that people remember very fondly, even though some of them are kind of stinkers. The Embassy mission is probably the one everybody remembers the best. The Vietnam mission's probably another iconic one, just because I think people that are just in the Black Ops series really enjoy a Vietnam flashback. Unless you were actually in Vietnam, then you probably hate it, but
We're giving you more variety, more dynamic moment-to-moment gameplay, and more options to finish each mission.
We can do this loud or quiet.
ooh, a silenced USP, W?
Of Black Ops mystery. It's a high-octane spy thriller where you're never sure who to trust and what's real. And it's all set against the backdrop of the early 90s. The Soviet Union was crumbling after the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. The US is the only remaining superpower. The Gulf War was dominating headlines everywhere, and there was a growing mistrust in government, reflected everywhere across the music, television, and pop culture of the time. When we talk about the Black Ops timeline, Black Ops 6 comes after the events of the Cold War, but is directly tied to the 1986 flashbacks in Black Ops 2, the aftermath of which has left our heroes in dire circumstances.
Black Ops 6 blends the rich and gritty history of previous franchise titles with bold new characters, with veteran Frank Woods as our through line in our story.
Similar to how it was in BO2.
In this new chapter, we see a different side of Woods following his traumatic injury at the hands of Raul Menendez. He's been pulled from the field as he adjusts to a new role within the CIA, often behind a desk or on the other end of a radio. His protege is Troy Marshall, who's been making a name for himself in the field. Marshall is a reluctant leader driven by a strong moral compass. Marshall and Woods are working with another new face in Black Ops 6, CIA handler Jane Harrow. She's a born leader, fearless and brilliant, and helps manage their relationships within the agency.
So she's
Woods'
Laszlo?
ability to operate in the shadows has always been hugely valuable to the CIA, whether they want to admit it or not. And Marshall has the ability to make tough calls in the field, ones that Harrow trusts him to make. But when an operation goes wrong, Woods and Marshall are suspended and ultimately forced to go rogue. They soon realize they have to trust each other to get to the bottom of what's going on. Without any of their usual resources, they have to build their own team, recruiting two exciting new characters in Felix Newman, a technical genius, and Savati Dumas, a mysterious assassin. With the end of the Cold War, these former enemies have become new allies. And with the sudden return of notorious operative Russell Adler, who'd gone missing for months, a former ally may have become a new enemy.
For the Black Ops single-player campaign, we prioritized mission variety and unique experiences. Our goal was to offer players a wide variety of mission types, each crafted from the ground up. One moment, you'll be storming a palace. The next, you'll be pulling off a heist at a casino. We aim to take players all over the world and immerse them in vastly different experiences. Within these missions, we wanted gameplay to unfold in multiple ways, giving players the freedom to navigate through them as they see fit.
Now you see, that sounds awesome in theory. Assuming they did it the correct way, that's fantastic. That's gonna be like the KGB mission, the embassy mission I mentioned from Cold War earlier, where you can approach that mission literally however you want. The scary thought that came into my head with the launch of Modern Warfare 3 is that we're gonna get those open Warzone missions where it's just literally run around and do objectives in literally the Warzone map, because those missions were horrible and they were obviously there just to pad the game time. They literally offered nothing in terms of story because all the story context for those missions was in cutscenes. So there's two ways that could go. I'm hoping it goes with the Black Ops Cold War way and not the MW3 way.
Also have conversation opportunities where you can talk, barter, and manipulate your way into different experiences, and we think you'll want to replay levels to see them all.
All right, that kind of answers my concern. That's the Cold War way where you had dialogue trees and options to do things however you wanted. Good job.
We've created certain missions where we give you a high-level objective and a variety of ways to approach that objective. One mission in particular takes place in a vast desert in Iraq. You and your team are hunting down missile launchers with the SAS. It's one of the largest campaign maps that we've ever created.
Look alive, people!
And now that's where my slightly red-colored flag pops back up, because that sounds like some of the missions from MW3 that I was just talking about, but they kind of answered my question, or my concern with the other thing they said, so hopefully they take what they said about the other thing and it just carries over and applies to this. Also, it kind of sounds like they're making this sound like they're taking a bunch of Far Cry mechanics, which I don't necessarily hate. I think that's kind of good. It'll add something new to the campaign, so we'll see where that goes.
I find that some of our destinations have a startling contrast in look and feel as well. We have a mission that takes place in an opulent casino in Southern Europe. It's unlike any past mission in Call of Duty. And what the player does in this space is totally unexpected. And another one of our missions we have set in the harsh tundra of northern Russia.
Yes, we've never seen a COD mission in snowy Russia.
The campaign is grounded within an expanded campaign hub called the Safe House. You might remember we also had that in Black Ops Cold War. But this time, we wanted to think a little bit more broadly about the environment. We chose to have our team's hub located in a more naturalistic setting. So, it's in an abandoned manor by an ocean cliffside.
That sounds cool in theory. I don't have any complaints against that. My only counterpoint to that is, like, if it doesn't add to the story narratively, then why do that? Because at least with the Safe House in Cold War, it made sense being in a warehouse in the middle of, like, the operation area.
What's most unique is that it used to be a KGB black site, which was operational during the 50s and 60s. This brings a lot of intrigue to the Safe House and will allow players to explore and discover secrets from the past.
Okay, they added stuff in. Got it.
Bringing back the evidence board, which is still the centerpiece of the Safe House experience, but with brand new upgrades. Players can view the campaign outline, gain deeper insights into missions, and analyze evidence collected throughout missions.
I just hope there's more missions than Cold War, because this game had a way longer development period and Cold War had a rushed development period, so in my brain, that means this game will have more stuff to do. Hopefully. I've been wrong before.
With Black Ops 6, our goal is to create a more connected experience that keeps players immersed across every single mode. We've pushed ourselves at every corner to innovate and craft the most signature Black Ops experience for our players. Movement has been a consistent area of focus and innovation for Call of Duty.
Yes, it has.
We're redefining movement across the entire game. For the first time ever, players can sprint in any direction and move like a true Black Ops action hero.
That was one of the things I saw teased on Twitter that people were reacting to. I don't hate that. I actually like that change quite a bit. The only issue with that is just going to be a pre-existing issue I already have with Call of Duty, where whenever I go to reload, my character just has no context that he's getting shot at and just dies because my momentum gets stopped before I'm behind cover. But that could be just a skill issue, even though I think it's kind of a game logic issue, but whatever.
With an entirely new global system we call Omni Movement. This unlocks the ability to move like never before and seamlessly chain combat maneuvers like slide, dive, and our enhanced supine prone in full 360 degrees range of motion.
Yeah, like I said, none of this is bad as long as it doesn't break the camera.
You can't do this thing, why? And then realize people actually move that way. What happens if we get rid of that construct? And then instantly it opened up like, oh, if you can sprint in any direction, then you can dive in any direction, you can slide in any direction, which then led
solid logic
on the ground movement and everything else chaining together.
It's really been something that changes how you think and play the game, whether it's campaign, MP, or zombies. We truly believe that once you experience Omni Movement, there's no going back.
Even from a competitive standpoint, the only way this could be bad, like I've stressed, is if it just is breaking the cameras in the game and people are doing stuff that they can't counterattack. The one thing I would love to see them fix, which isn't even a movement issue, it's just like a bump mapping issue in the game, is stair glitching. Stair glitching might be the most egregiously broken thing that I don't know how we haven't fixed yet, but that's a different topic for a different video potentially. As far as this goes, I don't have a problem with this new movement, like at all.
We also have what we're calling intelligent movement, which is a set of features that drastically reduces how many buttons or keys you're pressing to perform various movements. These can be enabled in player options, and they're broken down into 3 categories: sprint assist, mantle assist, and crouch assist. and each of these settings will allow for fine-tuning.
It's just auto mantle on steroids, which sounds good in theory that less buttons equals more movement. For like maybe the casual player that doesn't care about what they're doing, great feature. For the people that have like, I don't know if disability is the correct word, but like whenever they spawn in and they just aren't able to do something that everyone else can do, probably great for them. For someone that actually likes to have control over what they're doing to like an exact detail, I don't know if this is going to be for us, but I could be surprised.
Intelligent movement really started with this idea that we want all players to focus on what they want to do and not how to do it. We want every player, regardless of skill level or input or experience with Call of Duty, to be able to engage with Omni movement and live out their own action hero fantasy in Black Ops 6.
Kind of what I was hinting at. It's going to be a thing where if you want to do something but you don't know how to do it, the game will do it for you, W. But on the flip side, I want to have exact control over what I'm doing, so I'll just learn the button presses like I've been doing since BO4, World War II, forever, G-sliding, just going back in time, strafe jumping. Yeah, I'll just learn how to do it.
A great example that really shines is a global feature we call corner slicing, where as you round a corner or go through a doorway, your weapon's going to dynamically rotate in the direction that you're rounding that corner. And since it's dynamic, it'll be a bit more dramatic if you're slowly clearing a room, but won't affect you at all if you're barreling full speed around that same corner. We're constantly looking for opportunities to set the bar with movement and animations in Black Ops 6.
For campaign, that feature is going to be incredible. For multiplayer, I feel like it's just going to get received the same way it's been received in every other game that's had a feature like that, because there was leaning in Ghosts, there's mounting in the newer games. I just don't think people are going to vibe with it enough to the point where it's going to make as big of an impact in multiplayer as it will in campaign and whatever other side single player / side PvE modes there are. So again, that's a change that one mode gets a really big benefit from, and the other one I feel is just, it doesn't really change much, if I'm being honest.
The Black Ops 6 user experience is all about focusing players on what they need when they need it, and our in-game HUD is no different. From the minimap to the ammo widget to in-game notifications, the Black Ops 6 HUD combines.
Is this what the UI looks like by default? Because this looks like Black Ops 1. Like the plus 100 elimination in the center of the screen is very Black Ops 1. Also, depending on what you can turn off and on, this is a great feature because there is some information I just do not need to know. Also, being a content creator, being able to turn off everything on the HUD, a super overlooked feature that a lot of people don't take into account. Whenever they took out realism mode in MW2 and MW3, it kind of broke my heart because it made getting screenshots a pain in the ass, which again, that is a super duper minimalist society that has that problem that I just happen to be a part of. But it was a feature in the game, then you took it out, and I'm just sitting here thinking, why'd you take it out? It was like, if someone doesn't want to use realism mode, just, you know, don't have them have realism mode on. But if this is gonna work the way I think it's gonna work, it's a good feature. It's a great feature, actually.
And some of our best designs in a clean, streamlined experience. For the first time in Call of Duty, players will be able to change their HUD in dramatic ways to suit their needs. For instance, streamers can choose a layout optimized for their setup, or maybe you want your HUD centered so you don't have to look away. Want to play hardcore anywhere, or finally put the minimap in the bottom left? Those are options as well. Not only does the HUD give players important status, it connects them to the world and helps them feel rewarded for being awesome.
Great feature, but if you put your information in the center of your map next to your crosshair, you are insane, and I do not like you. I'll probably block you.
Players track that elusive challenge or target their next level unlock. Black Ops 6 delivers an end-to-end experience from the lobby into combat and back, where player progress and achievement are celebrated in a big way.
Early on in Black Ops 6's development, we set a goal to make leveling and XP matter more than ever. Looking back through the Call of Duty and Black Ops catalog, there's a lot of love, both internally at Treyarch and that we see in our community, for how we used to handle prestige.
It just makes the most sense. It's what Call of Duty was known for the longest time.
Prestige is back in Call of Duty with Black Ops 6.
I already knew that because I saw it on Twitter, but
from past Call of
good
Duty
change.
Systems, and are going bigger and more rewarding than ever. Players who reach max player level will have the choice to enter Prestige, start fresh with relocked gear, and go through the leveling journey again.
Not necessarily a change that would affect me because I just kind of play the game. I don't really care about the progression system other than getting the stuff that I need. And once I have it, I'm pretty content as a content creator, which might sound dumb, but why would you not want to do the thing that gives you more playtime? Honestly, just because I don't want to. If you're one of those people that wants to redo the Prestige and do it again to say you did it, by all means, go for it. This feature is great for you. Just whenever I get the stuff I need, I'm probably just gonna like lock myself at whatever level I'm at.
Black Ops 6 will have 10 prestiges, each with a valuable set of rewards to earn and equip to peacock your status. Players who make it through Prestige 10 aren't done. Instead, they'll graduate into Prestige Master with 1,000 additional levels to climb through and a classified reward to uncover for anyone dedicated enough to make it all the way to the end. The full Prestige system is available on day 1 in Black Ops 6.
Good. The fact that that's something they're getting gassed for is insane, because that should just be a standard feature, but good.
We know how many of our players look forward to multiplayer, and we will be providing a deep dive on it later in the year. For now, here's some insight into our development of Black Ops 6 multiplayer. Our vision since day one has been to craft an approachable and engaging step change of that signature Black Ops multiplayer experience. We focused on supporting 3 core playstyles for launch. Enforcers are the slayers who like to kill and stay on the move. Recon is all about intel and counter-intel play. And strategists are support players who throw their bodies at objectives for the win, or focus on taking out enemy score streaks for the team.
That's not necessarily new. They've had this in the past, so they're bringing it back. At least there are no Sentinels, unless I paused again too early and they're about to tell me about the Sentinels. I pray to God there's no Sentinel playstyle. I don't want to reward people for being absolutely useless, but, you know, there are people that play this game that are absolutely useless.
But of course that means you're going to get some early details on maps.
We're
Nuketown.
That we will be launching with 16 all-new MP maps. We've got 12 core 6v6 and 4 strike maps, which can be played as 6v6 or 2v2. What do players like? What do we know that they want? So we're back to our classic
simple 3-lane.
maps.
Yep. W.
Fast, frenetic
Fantastic.
And we have that balance with more medium size, like better for hardcore pacing to keep the action flowing, but still have meaningful decisions for the player to make.
Literally all we ever really ask for is a community on like the giant majority end of the spectrum. There are those people that say they want these obscure maps. Like there are people like no shade, like the Act Man, who thinks Gustav Cannon from World War II is a great map. That's his opinion. He can think that. I'm just saying the majority of the player base disagrees. That map had no flow and it would generally end to the time limit and not the score limit, which is bad for Call of Duty. So the simple 3-lane maps that just make sense and are easy to play and have good flow, that's literally all we want. We don't need to get super duper creative with the map design because it's Call of Duty. There have been like 450, 500 maps in Call of Duty. We're out of ideas at this point. We just need to keep things simple. It's what works for games like Counter-Strike, and it's the most popular game on the planet for a reason. Map design, the environment you're in really matters. It has to be simple. It has to make sense. Especially as a competitive player, if there's 12 maps made for 6v6, that means theoretically they could be scaled for 4v4, and having a lot of maps to choose from would make things interesting because you could rotate maps in and we wouldn't have to have remakes.
The maps have their own stories, and we have multiplayer taking place after the campaign, after you finish it. So don't want to get into too many spoilers there, but you'll experience some of those locations through the multiplayer lens.
Old school approach to the maps, W.
We've covered a lot today, but couldn't leave you without giving you just one more thing.
Is it a kiss? And unfortunately, this is where I tune out completely because I have literally zero interest in zombies. If you wanted to hear my opinions on the zombies, I deeply apologize. I do not care about this game mode in the slightest. For those of you that enjoy it, I'm glad you enjoy it. I have not played zombies in over a decade. The playlist, the mode, it bores me. And honestly, my opinion on zombies would be basically irrelevant because I have no context on anything they're about to talk about. I don't play the game mode, so all the extra stuff they're going to be talking about, I wouldn't know what it means. So I'm going to watch the rest of this video, and if there's something they mention that I want to talk on, I'll bring it up, but I'll give my final thoughts in a sec.
We'll be sharing so much more about Black Ops 6 in the coming months and look forward to seeing your reactions and your feedback from our open beta coming up this fall and into launch.
All right, this is just going through the rest of the standard COD cycle at this point. There's going to be the COD Next event, there's going to be betas, there's going to be teasers. We're going to get to see T-Pain and Snoop Dogg play the game early. So yeah, this is pretty standard at this point.
Am I allowed to talk about Warzone yet?
No. Okay, they're also teasing Warzone. I hate to break it to everyone else again. I don't really play Warzone either, in case you couldn't tell by the content I do post, so I don't really care about this announcement either. Again, if you play Warzone, I'm happy you're gonna get your thing. I have nothing to say about it.
There is so much more to share across all 3 game modes before the game officially launches on October 25th. On behalf of the entire team, we can't wait for you to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
All right, so final thoughts on the Direct event and things they've actually told us. For the most part, everything was a good change in my opinion. There are some things they didn't give us a lot of context to, which I'm sure we'll learn about more later or just find out when the game drops, and then we'll learn if they're good or bad. I don't think there's any objectively bad things. I think there may be things that are going to be broken at the beginning that they'll eventually fix, or there might just be some things that I'm pretty indifferent on. The biggest thing I think they're doing in terms of the multiplayer that I like is that they're giving everybody the option to have the new stuff if they want to, but they're giving ultimate customization to everybody, which is like what I want, because like I've said a few times in this video, a player like me, I want to have more control over the movements I'm doing in the game. A bad player, or just a casual player, I guess, to be nice, they don't really care about learning the movements, they just want to do the damn thing. They're catering the game to be accessible for everybody and have their own level of customization as to what they want to do, and that's a good thing. As far as literally everything else, they're reverting changes like the prestige system, which a lot of people are going to enjoy. They're making changes, progressing the game in new ways, which everyone should enjoy. I'm sure some people will complain because people complain about COD because it's a personality trait. So personally, for me, I think most of the changes are good. I think it's going to be a good game. I'm never one to like complain about COD because I don't have these unrealistic expectations that everyone else has for some reason. But as a player that's more on the competitive end of the spectrum, the maps are a big W. I'm excited to see what maps they bring us, and I'm glad that they talked openly about their philosophy designing the maps. I don't think the movement's going to be too broken for competitive as long as they fix the camera issue that I'm sure will exist, like I've said. The only thing they didn't talk about, and I'm not sure if it's public information, is how much health the player's going to have. I'm assuming 150. I really enjoy 150 health, and the last 2 Treyarch games have been 150 health, so I'm assuming they're going to keep that trend going, and if that's the case, I feel like this game could have the potential to be very good. It could be like what everyone thought MW3 was going to be with actual full development cycle. So, but as far as this video goes, I think that's about where my train of thought ends, unless I completely forgot something, and if I did, the comment sections down below ask me for what I think about it, or just in general leave your thoughts on the Direct event in the comments down below. Let me hear your thoughts about Black Ops 6, but until the next video, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Before you guys dip, remember to like and sub down below if you have not already, and I will talk to you the next time I see you, boys and girls. A pizza.